Hello, I'm Clay Curry, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about NASCAR. Now, I want you all to vision this. You're sitting up in some stadium seats, looking over an asphalt circle, and you're looking down the straightaway coming right towards you, a field of 53 cars, and they pass you faster than you can turn your head, and just a roaring thunder, deafening, comes past you. That's the greatest feeling you can feel. That is the feeling of NASCAR, and many people have felt that throughout the generations. This feeling has been consistent through all the years of NASCAR, but some things have not remained consistent. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about these things that haven't been consistent, like the history, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what NASCAR is like today, then I'm going to tell you about the rules. But first I'm going to tell you about NASCAR's rich history. Now, let me just tell you, NASCAR finds its roots in the smuggling of moonshine in the South. These moonshine smugglers had a whole bunch of souped-up cars, and they wanted to see who was faster, so they started racing. These races slowly got more and more official until Bill France Sr. decided that he wanted to organize it to make it fair because he saw a lot of people getting cheated out of their money. And he wanted to have a governing body. So in 1948, Bill France Sr. founded NASCAR. And NASCAR held its first stock car only race at Charlotte Speedway in North Carolina shortly after 1948. Along the way, NASCAR has competed on many tracks with many drivers. NASCAR has had at about 170 tracks they have competed on. Most of them they don't compete on anymore. Some of them don't even exist. The first track dedicated solely to NASCAR was Darlington Raceway, and it was opened in 1950. In 1959, NASCAR replaced the beach and the part of A1A that they used to race on with Daytona International Speedway, where they race every year for the most prestigious race in NASCAR, the Daytona 500. Many drivers have competed throughout the years, but a few of the best include Fireball Roberts, Cale Yarborough, The King, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Jeff Gordon, my personal favorite. But now that you know a bit where NASCAR came from, I want to tell you about where the sport is today. NASCAR has grown tremendously since Bill France started it in 1948. Today, NASCAR has expanded to have three major series. The most prestigious of the three, and the one with the fastest cars, is the Sprint Cup Series. This series contains the most talent of the three series. The second series, which develops racers and has the second fastest cars, they're not as fast, but they're still fast. It is the Xfinity Series. It had just changed this year. Their cars are a little bit slower, and the races are a little bit shorter, and they race less races. Now, the third major series, it's how the racers get introduced to racing in NASCAR. It is the Camping World Truck Series, and this series introduces the youngest drivers into how NASCAR races go. And it is the most different in that they race in trucks instead of cars like the other two series. But they have the shortest races and the fewest. Now, NASCAR has also become far more commercialized. Every car now, you'll see a whole bunch of sponsors on it. And that's because NASCAR is trying to make as much money to keep the sport going, because it's expensive. So every race has a sponsor. Every team has a sponsor, every racer has a sponsor, and is covered in sponsors on the race. According to various writers of NASCAR.com, since the mid-1980s, NASCAR has been sponsoring with Fortune 500 companies. And according to William Harris of HowStuffWorks.com, more Fortune 500 companies are involved in NASCAR than any other sport as of 2006. Now, last, I would like to let you know about some of the rules in place in NASCAR. NASCAR has become greatly regulated over the years because that was Bill France's initial intention to regulate the sport. And they've done this for both fairness and safety. The championship is determined by gaining points throughout the year. At every race, based on finishing position, each driver gains points. The higher a racer finishes, the more points they get. They also get bonus points for various things like leading the most laps or leading a lap period. Now, at the end of the season, the drivers with the 16 most points advance to the chase. This is the championship of NASCAR. This is 4 rounds, 3 with 3 races, and 1 round with 1 race. The 3 rounds with 3 races, at the beginning of each of those rounds, the driver's points in the chase reset. At the end of each of those rounds, the 4 drivers with the least points are eliminated, and the racers accumulate points as they normally would throughout the regular season. In the final round, 4 races compete against each other in the last race of the year. The driver who finishes in the highest position wins. Now, to keep the races fair and to keep anyone from any unfair advantages, according to William Harris of How Stuff Works, NASCAR sets forth requirements to limit the car in many ways. The spoiler of the car, this part here on the bumper, must be of a certain height. It can't be a greater angle, it can't be a greater height. And the car must be of the same shape, depending on what manufacturer it is. Now, they're also limited on how their pit stops are performed. They are monitored to make sure that no driver is gaining an unfair advantage in the pits, such as speeding down pit lane. There is a set speed that they may go. And also, certain tires are provided to NASCAR by Goodyear, so that each team is using the same tires, so that the pressure will be the same and that the grip will be the same for everyone. Now, there are also rules to protect the racers. There is a specific harness system, including the Hans device, the head and neck system, that protect the drivers while in the car in case of an accident, which happens often. And then there are also, the speed limits are also for safety, so that the drivers, in case of an accident, don't injure anyone. And then there are also emergency crews throughout the track in case of any accidents occur, so they can respond quickly. Now, today I've shared with you NASCAR's history, what it has become today, and a few of the rules that are effective on the track. Many things have changed, but that same feeling exists today. I hope that you have learned many things about NASCAR and will join me and all NASCAR fans in enjoying this amazing sport.